Do a decision.
We can't even count the thing. Is there a delay?
That's so funny. Do we need to try one more time?
One, two,
3.
We suck. Do a decision.
Do a decision.
I think there's a delay.
Oh, this is legit making the blooper reel. We can do this, Mo. We can do this. Do a decision.
Decision.
The miming and the timing have made this thing gold. Oh, boy.
Oh,
Tell you what.
Welcome to The Notice, a podcast from OTAVA with hosts TJ Howski and Melissa Locke.
Welcome to The Notice, episode 4, TJ.
I mean, that means you're professional. If we've done this 4 times, we've got this thing now. We're all in.
That's all it takes is 4 times to be professional?
I don't know. I mean, they say it's like a year to make a habit, so maybe it's 4 times in a podcast to be professional. I don't know. Maybe it
sounds
translates.
Good to me. Let's go with it.
Let's roll with it.
Well, I am very excited for this episode because we do get to have a special guest, and I always am a little more jazzed when we get to have a special guest. And today's guest is Cyndi Lyon, our Vice President of Customer Experience and Strategy. And she will be talking to us a little bit to tell us about her role and about what's going on with OTAVA and how we're focusing on the importance of customer centricity going forward. And so I'm excited to have her and looking forward to what she has to share. So what about you? Are you still doing On the Road again?
We are on the road again. Our campaign commitment when we started this off together was October 31st. And certainly it's a part of our business going forward, right? To make sure that we're talking to customers and collecting that feedback. But yep, we're going through October 31st in this narrowed focus. We're excited about it. Last week, a couple of customer visits, but as a part of On the Road, we're also meeting with our technology partners. And so I think on a future episode, we'll get to hear from another special guest. Really excited about that. But I traveled out to Northern California. Sorry, my roots are from Southern Cal. But Northern California and visited with Fortinet, and that was a lot of fun. I absolutely am a terrible golfer, and that was equally fun, but had a really good time. So how about you?
Yeah, I did have 2 customer visits this past week and enjoyed getting to meet those folks. But I also took a trip to Iowa, and this was to one of the Schurz broadband company's long lines. And what I really enjoyed about it is I got to spend the afternoon with all of their technicians. And so these are, they just have a tough job. They're out either in the weather, in a customer's home, they're hauling equipment and ladders, and when they're relying on technology out in the field. And when that doesn't work, it's not like you can just go say, hey, IT help, can you help me? They've got to troubleshoot in the field. So I just have a lot of respect for these folks and the difference they make for our broadband companies. And so here's what I really enjoyed about it. Is that we, had an open conversation. They shared some things about, maybe ways we could make their jobs a little bit easier. And so then the leadership team had a meeting afterwards, and we took their feedback, and there were actually a couple of differences that we could make, changes that we could make. And Paul Bergman, who is their GM, he listened to our podcast. And he said, let's do a decision. He said, let's do a decision. And I was like, he goes, isn't that what you guys say in the podcast? I wrote it down. And I was like, this is awesome. And we did several decisions. And that was the best part of it all. We have a fan.
Awesome. We have one fan.
Yes.
Shout out to Paul. We're super excited.
Go Paul.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I can imagine. I came up through the telecommunications space in my younger years, and field technicians are incredibly talented and incredibly hardworking.
Yes, they are.
They're in the thick of all of it, whether it's commercial or consumer. They see a little bit of everything, and there's a lot more than I think people think, that it's not really a rote work job where it's just the same thing that you're going to do. It's actually, it could be the same type of task in a different environment, which really makes it a completely different task as you get into it. So a lot of thinking on your feet, and certainly experience goes a long way. Culture is everything in a job, in my opinion, regardless of what you do, but certainly in an environment that is intense as that,
Yeah.
culture is a nice place to find comfort. so,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I could appreciate that Iowa was fun. So
Yes.
very,
Yeah.
very cool.
It was a successful meeting, I think. And I mean, that was just the icing on the cake having a fan. So it was good.
Good
So
stuff.
let's jump into one of my favorite parts, my favorite segment,
Okay.
people props.
Let's hear some people props.
So who do you want to give a shout out to this week?
Man, it's so tough. Like, people are awesome, right? You always tease me, TJ, you like everybody.
You do.
And I do. I like people a lot. But I'm gonna give a people prop to a woman that I think is awesome. Her name is Michelle McMillan.
Oh, yeah.
And I call her the silent hero. A lot of folks haven't had maybe the pleasure or the privilege of meeting Michelle. She is quite fantastic. But she works on our off shift. So she works on a U.S. second shift. Oftentimes, off shift work in general is different because you do a little bit of everything, including the escalations and those real time decisions that you make, because the day to day structure of your management, your leadership, and those folks that you would go to aren't readily available. They're in an on call situation. And she has been doing that for years, came into the organization not long after I joined OTAVA. And she is somebody that you can count on. And in a world where I think that's undervalued, that you can count on somebody to follow through, to do what they say they're going to do, to be who they say that they are, Michelle shines bright. So shout out to Michelle. Super proud of you. Thankful for all that you do. You are a hero here. We appreciate you greatly. So Mo, who's your shout out?
We didn't even talk about this, but mine too is for one of those thankless jobs that we have in the organization. So I wanted to give a shout out to an individual that impacts our entire organization. And if she doesn't do her job, everyone knows. And this is Malia Turner, and she processes our payroll. And this is one of those jobs where everyone appreciates what she does and that your paycheck shows up on time and it's accurate, but no one ever calls to say thank you.
Right.
If it's wrong or if there's some, glitch in the system, definitely get those calls, but no one ever calls and says thank you. So I'm taking this opportunity to say thank you, Malia. You take care of us every 2 weeks and make sure we can, pay our bills because you deliver our pay on time and with accuracy. So shout out to Malia Turner.
I dig it. Thank you, Malia. Thank you, Michelle. We appreciate you more than you know, and hopefully, as people hear this, they will reach out, whether it's an email or a text or a Teams message, and say thank you, because you are both amazing. So we appreciate
That's
you.
right.
We value you. All right. Well, customer centricity is a central thesis to OTAVA. It's what we are telling the world that we want to differentiate on in a market that's highly competitive. We recognize that really all industries, including our own, are adjusting to what's most important, which is people first, right? So I couldn't be more excited to introduce our Vice President over Customer Experience and Strategy, Cyndi Lyon.
Yay. Welcome, Cyndi. Okay, so I want to start with just having you tell our listeners just a little bit about your background and your role at OTAVA.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here. This is my first podcast. A little bit about me. I've spent about 25 years in the industry. And all of the roles that I've had prior to OTAVA have been deeply focused on customer centricity and customers. The last 5 years I've been with OTAVA, I've led a variety of teams across the organization, really trying to hone in and bring the customer perspective into those teams and those values. And now, as the VP of Customer Experience here at OTAVA, I'm able to lead the charge and transition towards becoming a truly customer-centric organization. I'm also pursuing my master's in Customer Experience Management. So I'm able to apply those things that I'm learning to the establishment of this role and share those things with our team.
Impressive background, Cyndi. Thank you for sharing that with us, really. Which I knew all of that, but it's still, when you list it all out, I'm like, wow, I get to work with her every day. So you mentioned customer centricity. Can you just help our audience understand what exactly that means in maybe like elementary or practical terms?
Sure. So customer centricity in its simplest terms is all about putting the customer at the heart of everything we do as a company. It means really understanding their needs, their preferences, and their pain points in an intimate way so that we can tailor our products and our delivery of services to meet those needs effectively. For us at OTAVA, taking this and translating it means that we will actively listen to our customers, gathering feedback, and using that feedback to drive all of our decisions and our product development.
Nice. I like that you say it's at the heart of the business. That makes a lot of sense and it resonates with me. So it's clear you're passionate about this. So could you share your personal and then your professional perspective on why being customer-centric is so crucial in today's landscape?
Being customer-centric for me isn't just a business strategy. It's fundamental and necessary to compete in today's landscape. We know that the world is smaller now that we're all global and remote and we all do virtual meetings and things. So we've got to find a way to bring that closer to home. So for me, there's going to be 4 kind of key areas that are really important to me. So first, customers have more choices than they ever did before. Because of this globalization and the internet, they can easily switch brands just because they want to. If their needs aren't being met, they have a lot of choices. So to retain our customer base, we have to prioritize their satisfaction and exceed their expectations in their engagement so they don't choose someone else. The second area that's really important to me about this is that customer centricity is deeply tied to your innovation and your product development. When we can understand our customers' needs and preferences, we can identify things that are unmet for them and get our product development ahead of where they are and really fuel that customer loyalty and engagement as they become part of our process and our innovation. So that's kind of my 2 top ones. Another one is word of mouth. A lot of folks underestimate the power of word of mouth, but satisfied customers become advocates and they talk to their friends, they talk to their colleagues, they talk in the industry circles. The same is true of unhappy customers. If they're unhappy with your service or something you did, they're going to talk, and probably more than when you provide good service. So when we apply customer centricity to our day-to-day, we can create positive experiences for our customers that will lead to organic growth through referrals and positive reviews, which is really what we want as a business. That's right. And lastly, kind of another one that's important to me is data. Data analytics is indispensable. You can't make decisions without it. The piece that's important is making sure that you have the voice of your customer in your data so that you're making decisions based on where your customers want to go and your processes can be aligned to those needs. So for me, it's really a mindset that positions OTAVA for success in a highly competitive environment. And it's also about valuing and prioritizing our customers at every touch point that will guide our actions and decisions that we make as a business at OTAVA.
Wow. That's a lot of
good stuff.
Good insight right there. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good
Powerful.
stuff. Like talk about marinate on that for a minute.
Seriously.
Right. So, hey, Cyndi, I'm curious, how often do you hear folks that confuse customer experience with customer centricity?
Every day, all the time. I think that's common.
And they're not the same thing, right?
No, customer centricity is your mindset. It's putting that heart of the customer. It's that heart of what you do, right? The customer's in front of you for every decision that you make. Customer experience is how you deliver that. So the information comes in through your customer-centric mindset and you deliver the experience to them. So I'm a fan of calling customer experience almost customer experience engineering. I know we've talked about that a bit, TJ. Like some of our famous brands like Chick-fil-A, they engineer those experiences because they want to ensure that they're delivering on a very set criteria for their customers.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And a shout out to Chick-fil-A if you want to sponsor us. We welcome that. We'd like large waffle fries and lemonades, but you're welcome here. No, to elaborate on that, Cyndi, I'm super curious and becoming more passionate about this alongside you. Like your passion is infectious with this, which makes it a lot of fun. But if you were to, part of this platform for the notice is to educate, right? To help other people. So if you were to say like, oh my gosh, this sounds awesome, but there's a lot to this, right? To your point, when you start to marry the word engineering to anything, like it's intense. There's a lot of work that goes into that. What is the best jumping off point for a company that says we've heard about this too, we're really interested in being more centric minded? What do you have to get right to start this journey of really focusing on customer centricity and bringing it into any organization?
Well, I'm going to start with the obvious and then the not so obvious. So the first thing is you got to listen to your customers, right? And a lot of organizations say they listen to their customers. They do a survey, they hear feedback, they take action on the feedback. It's that active listening and getting intimate with your customers that's a little bit different, right? It's how do you take that feedback and operationalize it in your organization and it becomes part of your DNA. That's the hard part. A way for it to be most successful, and it's going to be a nod to you, TJ, is making sure that your leader and your topmost executive also believes in customer centricity and believes in putting the customer at the heart of there. No matter what you do kind of ground up, if you don't have that full top-down approach to create a holistic view, you can't be successful. So it's listening to your customers and getting executive buy-in and leadership to put that across the organization. And then thirdly, I would say really showing the value to the employees, right? Like, why should they care about the customer? Why is it important to have empathy for my customer? Teaching them that and then empowering them to take action on that. So hearing a customer concern and being able to say, me and my role can solve this issue for my customer is the key to it, right? So it's all those levels, customer, executive, and people.
That's good stuff. That's really,
Very
really good
good.
stuff.
I
Mo, what
love
do you
that.
think?
No, that is really good information. And starting from the top and trickling all the way down through the organization, it's definitely going to make an impact. And I'm excited to get started with some of that. Well, we've started some of it already. Like we're doing it right now with some of the on the road
Right.
again and even this. But Cyndi, can you explain how OTAVA's vision aligns with this concept of customer centricity?
Our vision at OTAVA is really, again, about transforming our organization to become customer-centric. And that's a journey, right? You can't just flip a switch and say, hey, tomorrow we're going to be customer-centric. It's a process. And it really lies in understanding the satisfaction and loyalty of our customers. We have to do this journey together. And our commitment to being customer-centric really means putting our customers in the forefront of every decision we make. Not just a line item on a plan or when we're talking in a certain area of this is customers. No, it's every decision vetted against the customer. Should we make this financial investment? Should we expand or enhance our product this way? Should we bring in this new technology to support our product? Should we bring in a technology in one of our organizations like contracts and billing or support from a technology perspective? How will that impact our customer? And always thinking about that on every decision that you make is really how it aligns with that, because through that you evolve and create a culture of customer centricity.
So we love a good success story, Cyndi. So can you tell us any real world example of a company who's just thrived thanks to their customer centric practices?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can think of several, but this one I want to talk about is really a remarkable story, but you have to go all the way back to 1994 when a new little bookstore was starting up in a garage, a little bookstore called Amazon. What's interesting about this is they started as a small retailer in their garage, but their mission was to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, right? That was their mission that they created in 1994, 1995, and it still exists today. So you can see their journey over 20 plus years of being focused on their customer. What Jeff Bezos did when he started that business, and it's kind of a legendary story, is that he wrote it on a napkin. He created this flywheel, which was customer centric, improve your delivery of your services to your customers, listen to your customers, develop and enhance what your customers need, and provide a better experience. So it created this flywheel. And that's how they've been able to sustain all of the disruptions in their economy and how they have become a disruptor themselves by getting that information from their customers. And what's interesting is a couple of things. There's the approach that Jeff Bezos took with his executive team and management is he had this empty chair strategy. So at every internal meeting, there was an empty chair in the boardroom. And the reason the empty chair was there was that they wanted to keep their customer top of mind. So even when they weren't physically present, they were present in the room. So those are things that he did to ingrain customer centricity right from day one. Another interesting thing you can see out of Amazon is the way that they were able to innovate. So when I talked earlier and I said you have to get intimate with your customers and really understand what they want to anticipate their needs, they started as a bookstore. They didn't have any inventory. They used other big box retailers to supply their inventory. But their customers, when they started engaging on this new thing called the internet, and it was easy to purchase, they realized their customers wanted access to more materials and more products. So they were able to enable one of the largest marketplaces in the world by listening to their customers. And when you think about it, some of the other inventions or innovations that came out of Amazon were things like one-click shopping, Prime membership with free shipping, a Kindle e-reader, right? And an intensive customer rating and review system. Those things, which are now kind of cornerstone or foundational to the business world today, were all developed from a business that started listening to their customers. So I put my money where customer centricity is. I've seen it live out, and you can see they're still profitable today, and they're still making decisions based on their customers. And none of that happened without that focus on listening to their customers.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
That is
That's
awesome.
I do want to say I don't appreciate the one click from Amazon. Neither does my debit card.
It's a little too easy.
It is a little too easy. So like maybe just be a little bit difficult to your customer in that one area. My wife would thank you. But no, it's spot on. That's a really great story. And to see how, Amazon has evolved, you're not just talking about a book, store anymore, digital bookstore. You're talking about a Goliath in the market, and they've kept that same focus in all of their businesses, whether it's advanced technologies, marketplace service. They're buying up companies in food services. Like there's some pretty incredible things that are going on. So that's a cool story. I'm excited that you share that. Shows the commitment to transforming and participating in that for over 2 decades. It's not a one and done tactical strategy. It's integrated within your larger business focus.
And what I find kind of curious with that, or peculiar, is that was over 20 years ago. And today we're still looking at customer centricity as a, should we do it? Versus why
Right.
wouldn't you do it? Right. So
Mm-hmm.
it's that mindset needs to change, and how powerful it can be for a business.
There's always going to be that person that watches this, and there's a cynic within all of us, right? That's just the reality. We're human. And so there's going to be that person that says, oh, great. So what you're saying is the customer is always right, no matter what, and I know you've heard that, and especially in a centric approach. So talk a little bit about that on playing the devil's advocate. Does this mean the customer is always right, no matter what? Like, what does this really mean?
That's a really great question, because you're right. That does come up a lot. The customer isn't always right. And sometimes an organization has to let the customer know they're not right in those cases. What this is about is really understanding who your right customer is, and making
Right.
sure that you're making decisions and innovations for that right customer. It doesn't mean that you can't serve all types of customers, but it means that your business decisions, where you're putting your financial investment, where you're putting your resources, will be aligned with your ideal customer, the customer that brings you the greatest customer lifetime value, right? Like how they engage with you, who is your partner. So no, the customer isn't always right, but your right customer is right.
That's good stuff. I like to tell folks, sometimes the best yes is a no.
Yes.
Right. There's sometimes that it's like, hey, this might be a great solution for you, or this might be a great approach for you, and we value that. That's meaningful to you, but it's a we thing, right? In order for us to do it well and to honor that commitment to all customers that we say fall within that focus area. So that's really good feedback. Thanks for taking the time.
And that really ties back to one of our core values, which is we win together.
Let's see.
Sounds good.
Oh, challenges.
Hang on. Drop your AirPod.
AirPod down.
Crisis.
AirPod down.
Crisis. I'm back.
Awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about your role. So you're the Vice President of Customer Experience at OTAVA. So could you just help our viewers understand, what do those responsibilities look like?
In this role, my primary role, as I see it, is to be a change agent for the customer across the organization, and really bringing that to all of our teams. I wear many other hats, of course, but my responsibilities are generally centered around ensuring that our interactions that our customer have with OTAVA are exceptional, or meet or exceed what they're expecting. One of the core concepts of this role is that I'm more of a champion for customer experience strategy at OTAVA. So that's how we weave it into our plan and how we weave it into our business decisions. I work closely alongside our leadership team to align our goals and the business objectives, making sure that our KPIs and our metrics tie to this strategy. And I'm also involved in looking at evaluating and leveraging technology. So how do we improve the delivery to our external customer? And how do we position our internal teams with the right tools that they can deliver those experiences seamlessly to our customers? So for me, I think I'm really here to ensure that every aspect of our business is aligned with delivering exceptional experiences for our customers.
Cyndi, helpful stuff. I mean, you have you don't have an easy role. right? So talk to us a little bit about the challenges. Every role has pros and cons. I like it when folks say like, I'm really excited, I'm taking this new opportunity. And I say this in my personal life. I think it translates well in professional life. You don't get a blessing without a burden. They always come
That's
together. It's just life, and that's the balance of it. And so, the blessing of the role is you get to focus on the customer. The burden is you have customers, right? And that's not a bad thing, but it's a demanding thing. And then equally, I think if I'm hearing you right and just kind of walking through this with you, we're seeing that here we are using, Amazon as a really great comparison. Jeff, plus or minus a few dollars in sponsorship, we're here for you. But when you look at this, 20 plus years they've been doing it and doing it well. And yet, to your point earlier, there's still people out there that are like, what is this whole customer experience thing? And I'm not quite sure that I believe in that. And so talk to us a little bit about the burden in your role, the challenges that you face, and the real obstacles that you're aware of and working through and helping people get educated in this at the same time that you're trying to implement it within a business and create the desired transformation.
I think the biggest challenge that I've had or I'm having or see in the role is that cultural shift that's required. And it's more an organizational shift. So historically, OTAVA has been more engineering and product and project led. And so this is like kind of jumping off the deep end without putting your toe in the water. It's different. It's a different mindset. It's touchy-feely. It's emotions. It's, what do you mean empathy? How do you do that? And while that's the biggest challenge, I think it's also one of the biggest rewards. Watching folks as we go through this journey, kind of the light bulb turns on and they start to get it, right? I'm going to share with you an example. I think previously you had Justin on here as your previous guest. Typical engineer, fantastic human, right? We went through a process where we were building out an empathy map for a customer. And it was interesting to see him open up and say, oh, this guy is feeling these things. Here is his emotion. I never thought here that I would hear those words come out of an engineer's mouth. At the end of the day, it comes down to the fact that people don't buy products, people buy people. And if we can get every member of our team being a person and a human and humanizing that relationship, you'll get organic success because people want to be around people that can empathize with them and can understand what they need. So a challenge in that it's a cultural shift, but rewarding in that the growth is just beautiful to see. And ultimately, it will result in a better experience for our customers.
That's good stuff. Great response. I really appreciate that. I don't know, Mo, you know a little bit about people and culture. So what do you think? You know what it's like to have to work through just transforming culture, let alone adopting and embracing new strategy and integrating that in. So give me some of your thoughts. Culture is who you are.
Yeah, well, I think these things go hand in hand. The way we think about connecting with our customers, the way we think about connecting with our employees, they go together. And from my perspective, on the road again allows me to do just this, to meet the people behind the business, which is where I find the value in what we're doing. Because I want to know people. I want to know how they feel about OTAVA. I want to know why they choose OTAVA. And I think that's where Cyndi and I are aligned in our curiosity with people, because it does play in, from my seat, as in people and culture, and then from the customer centricity avenue as well. They go very, very much hand in hand.
It's great stuff. I appreciate it. Well,
can I add to that just a quick thing I want to add to that? So customer centricity has multiple pillars, right? So it's about putting the customer at the heart of everything you do, but you support that through your training, your enablement, your rewards, your recognition, your employees, and the culture, which Melissa works on a lot, is all contributing and foundational to being successful. So part of my journey in building out this program and focusing on this strategy is to partner with Melissa on how do we do that? Right. How do we get benefits aligned to reward and encourage our team to be empowered and to live out this mindset and put the customer at the heart?
That's good stuff. There's as we kind of bring this segment into a close, what's interesting to me is business is slow to change its methodologies, right? At the end of the day, when you look at it, if you're for profit versus not profit, it still comes down to numbers, right? And so as businesses or as firms, we're slow to change because we're still looking for the same outcomes. We just try to change strategies to get there. And we'll take a squishy approach to use labels to say that we're doing this. That doesn't mean that you've embraced it. You can do something and not fully embrace it. It's like hugging somebody with a stiff arm, right? So it's an interesting approach. But there's a great book out there that was recommended to us by our now retired, I hope he's having a good time, president and CEO in Todd Schurz. And that was The Heart of Business. And I found that book was profound in that it was breaking down generational norms over business, all the way back to Milton Friedman and just fundamentals of economics and business and how it was about numbers and profit, as opposed to what Hubert wrote in that book as the turnaround leader of Best Buy when it was on really the brink of going from distressed to non-existent, and that businesses had to transform, and it was about putting people first. Now, that was a massive culture shift in a publicly traded company, that it was going to talk about people at a boardroom and on that forum versus profits first. And now we're talking about customers, which again, it's still people. One of our core values is our leading value is people first, not customers first, not employees first, people first, because an employee is a person and a customer is a person, right? And so I find that this section and the conversations that we'll have ongoing in this series, and if you're somebody that has stayed with us long enough and kind of intrigued on what we're doing here, what we found is that this is a really big deal for our organization. And, we're a small slice of the bigger pie in the world. And I know that there's other companies out there that are equally going to have to go through a similar transformation. And, we're excited to share great content and thought leadership from folks like Cyndi and others that we want to get onto this platform, because we believe in it. We believe in people and we believe in a customer-centric approach. And we're excited to capture white space that I don't even think people realize is out there for differentiating experiences.
Now, for this episode's one story in 1 minute.
All right, Cyndi, we're putting you on the spot. No pressure, though. Promise. One story in 1 minute. Now, TJ did this in one of our podcasts, and he brags all the time about he did the story in 1 minute. And that I'm usually much more succinct, and even said my story was going to be 27 seconds, but it took 2 minutes longer than that. So we'll see how you do. We'll see how you measure up with this one story in 1 minute. Ready, set, go.
All right. It was August 24th, 2023. The time was 7:35 a.m. Austin, my coworker, and I were on the way to the airport to catch a flight to Denver to meet with a customer. And suddenly, out of nowhere, traffic stops. There was no accident, and there was no sign of a national security event. We were perplexed, didn't know what to do. I gave Austin alternative routes. We finally got to the airport property around 7:50, and we could see that all heck had broken loose. There were cars stopped everywhere, water everywhere. People were running to the airport in flip-flops and dresses and abandoning their cars on the side of the road. We realized we were not going to get to McNamara Terminal to catch our Delta flight. I called United Airlines to say, hey, can we get 2 seats on a flight to Denver leaving at 9:15? Now, mind you, it's about 10 to 8. The nice agent, Leo, talked with me, took all of our information, spent a good 15 minutes on the call. And then at the end of the call said, hey, we can't do this because it's too close to flight time. You can't have the tickets. Austin and I decide we're going to be determined, and we go into the airport to buy our tickets at the United gate. We find out that those agents don't sell tickets. They only take care of baggage claim. While we're waiting there, I get a phone call back from Leo. Leo had copied my number down on caller ID and said, hey, I escalated your issue. We can get you these 2 seats on the flight. And he sold us the 2 seats, and we had 15 minutes to purchase the seats and get all the way through to TSA. The baggage agents helped us do that. And this is a shout out to Leo and United for empowering their agents to let them make the right decisions and provide an exceptional experience for Austin and I.
Wow. What a great story. And we are going to hire you to do the disclaimer at the end of commercials. That was some speed talking. Good job.
Did I get it in? Did a minute?
That was awesome. That reminds me when I was growing up watching the Micro Machine commercials where the dude would talk so fast. So Cyndi, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us and sharing your passion. I hope that for your first podcast ever, it wasn't too unnerving. You did a really fantastic job. So we really appreciate your voice and your leadership.
Thank you, Cyndi.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So that's a wrap. That's the notice for today. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah, we're excited. So next episode upcoming, you get to talk to the one, the only, not to be confused with the actual professional golfer, Austin Cook, but our Austin Cook, Vice President over Finance and Controlling. He likes to be considered a financial engineer so that he fits into an engineering company. What he lacks in math skills, he makes up for in humor. So we're incredibly excited for you to spend some time with Austin and get to hear his feedback on his experience. He's been participating both in the On the Road campaign and then joined me at Fortinet's Executive Security Summit. So super excited about that. But until next time, thank you so much. And Mo, what do we do?
We do a decision. That's right.